So my question today is, would a cat be safe in your organisation? So I'm Andy Longshaw. I'm Chief Engineer at the Cult Group in Manchester, UK. Um, and this is some thoughts on my current thinking about engineers. So cats. Okay, this is a technical leadership conference. What's this with cats? Okay, so the why am I asking this question? So basically, I've been in tech for a long time, and far longer than I'd like to think of. The past 20 years, I've been working as what I think of as a reflective practitioner. So reflective practitioner for me is someone who's motivated by the why, the how, and the when. So like, why do we do certain things? Practices, TDDs, feedback cycles, and so on. How do they work? Getting under the skin of them and working out sort of how they work. And when don't they work? When what's the context in which they work? And if they're not in the right context, do they not work? All that sort of thing. Most recently, despite my best efforts, I've been working in engineering leadership. And obviously, in engineering leadership, as everybody here will undoubtedly know, it's all about the people. It's the adaptation of it's the economy is stupid, it's the people stupid. To deliver great engineering, we need good people. So, because people are so key to engineering leadership, a lot of my past 10 years have been involved in hiring. So, spent a lot of time, one way or another, around recruitment, and have been setting up ways of interviewing people and talking and working with people to explore the skills and mindset in a structured sort of way. Now, one of the things about this is that with creating mark schemes and this sort of thing, be quite objective about how you're trying to look at bits of examining
Andy,
people.
sorry to jump in on you, Andy. Can you come forward to your microphone a bit? The mic's a little bit choppy, so it's not picking up sometimes.
Sorry. Yeah, I'll stop trying to wander about quite as much.
Okay, you're great there.
Okay, So basically, I've been involved in setting up like objective marking schemes, so to eliminate bias, to level the playing field on people, and so on. Now, this has worked well for us, but it still felt there was something missing in my model of the world. Oops, I'm on the wrong focus now. So, what was this thing that's missing? And I make no apologies for the dad joke sort of thing. Yes, that's you too. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. So what do I look for in an engineer, or in fact in any other delivery role that's going to be forming a cross-functional team? Well, one of the things is obviously, there's obviously the basic skills, the skills and capabilities that go with that role. So in the case of an engineer, we're talking about coding skills and that sort of thing, the tech skills. Those are, as I say, those are table stakes. So, and also, as is the ability and mindset to actually increase those skills and capabilities, to take on new skills and capabilities over time. Also, mindset, attitude, that sort of thing. You're looking for that, but that's also really table stakes. It's necessary stuff, but it's not sufficient. It's not like what's the key thing that's a differentiator. Now, it occurred to me a few years ago as I was thinking this through, I had an aha moment, and I thought, yeah, the thing for me personally that's a differentiator for people is people who ask why when something doesn't make sense. Why would the user do that? Why are we implementing that feature now? Those sort of questions. Or somebody say, that's interesting, when it doesn't look right. So, it's like, why have we got that? Why is that message appearing in the logs and this sort of thing? As opposed to, just we need to crack on. So, for me, curiosity is key. So the whole thing about thinking about what you're doing, exploring the boundaries, pushing on the boundaries, questioning why. Those questions of why, how, and when. When do things not work? When is it's doing something the right thing and the wrong thing, and so on. the reason for me that curiosity is important is it's almost like the inverse. What happens if there is a lack of curiosity? So if people aren't curious, if the people on your team aren't curious about what's going on in the systems and products you're building, then, as it says, dangerous things will go unnoticed. And if they go unnoticed, then they won't get addressed until potentially your system falls over. So things like, the little quotes go, we always get that CPU spike in the database about once a week. Yeah, it goes away pretty quickly. So, we've not bothered until the day that it obviously goes massive. And that thing about, I've had this before, the message in the logs can't be right. It can't possibly be producing that message. So, well, it is. So let's get curious about why, how has it managed to do that when we think it can't do? You'll then potentially build the wrong thing if you're not curious. There are making assumptions about how what the user wants, what the customer wants, or that the customer's using the system in the way that's not intended. They're doing something stupid. It's like, no. Let's explore why. Why is the customer doing that? That curiosity about getting under the skin of what the customer or the user is trying to do, and potentially you'll build it in the wrong way. So the whole thing about, I've never seen that sort of practice work. It was maybe not for us. These things, we don't need these sort of technologies. There's something I'm unfamiliar with, so we can just dismiss them. Or the practice and process. Everybody runs their stand-ups like this. It's like can we improve? Can we improve the way we're doing things? And in order to improve, we've got to be curious about why do things work here and not there. Now, one of the things here is that it's a challenge in some organizations because, some types of organization will squash curiosity. So this could be true. I mean, it's quite often seen in large organizations, the day-to-day, sometimes the day-to-day insanity of the organization will just drive it out of people. But it can also apply in smaller organizations where a particularly overbearing founder or exec or manager can kill off curiosity quite quickly. So we all start with this, as children, we all start with a level of curiosity, the typical thing about the kids saying why all the time. If we want people to carry that through, then we need to create psychologically safe spaces where they can question. And make sure that those questions are received in the manner that they're sent, rather than just dismissed as being unnecessary. And this is one of the challenges you get with some organizations and some situations, that in fact curious behaviors not only may they not be rewarded in not actually recognized and valued as an attribute. But sometimes it's quite the opposite. Why is that person always asking questions? Can't they just go and work on somewhere else or in a different team or this sort of thing and just let us get on with doing what we're doing? It's interesting that one of my favorite quotes around this is I thought it was from W. Edwards Deming, but in fact, I think it's from Peter Scholtes on More Investigation, talking about a manager talking about the dead wood in their organization, to which Scholtes responded, did you was it dead when you hired it, or did you kill it? And it's that sort of thing with an organization. Are you making sure that you are fostering curiosity rather than stamping down on it? Now, okay, so that's fine. So we say we champion curiosity, but how do we detect it? As I said earlier, with doing interviews with standard mechanisms, we can detect tech skills, we can detect knowledge of processes and practices and this sort of thing. How do we detect curiosity? So if you've got, when we're talking about existing colleagues, you can try management by wandering about, talking to people, observing the work, the general conversations you have with people. You can get a feel for whether they are curious about what they do or whether they're just pressing ahead and not thinking too much in that way. However, when you've got people coming in from outside of an organization, what can you do at the interview? Well, this is a challenge because obviously, you've only got a small window in which to see, to try and assess whether people are curious or not. One example is that in the way we recruit for engineers is we have a pairing exercise on some terrible code that you would never put into production. But the code is designed intentionally to have multiple what moments in. So by a what moment, I'm referring to, there's a guy called Gary Bernhardt who does a great lightning talk on JavaScript about how JavaScript does, or how JavaScript has some strange characteristics. And every time it does something weird, he says, "What?" And so this is passed into folklore. So basically, they're in the code that we provide, there are some whats where people can either go, no, I'm just going to plow through, I'm just going to push on this, or they can go, that's interesting, I wonder why that's happening. And at that point, we can see their curiosity at work. Final thing I would say on curiosity is that you have to role model it. If you want curiosity in your organization, you have to be curious, and you have to show curiosity. And this is all one of the challenges here. Is this part of being vulnerable? By being curious about something, you're implicitly saying, I don't understand what's going on here. And again, in some situations that can be tricky and it can be challenging, but you need to show it in order to have others to be curious as well. So stay curious. So back to the cat. I was a bit thrown off at the start. So this is our cat Belle, who's making a reappearance. So considering all of this I've just been through, would a cat be safe in your organization? Because you know what they say about curiosity. And that's it. That's all I had to say. Thank you for listening.